The weather ruined this qualifier at Wexford Park as last year's beaten All-Ireland semi-finalists looked to build on their win over Offaly. They got off to the perfect start with that goal from Kieran Ling inside the first minute, but they failed to score again for the next 23. It took Roscommon 15 minutes to open their account, but the point from midfielder Brian Higgins was certainly worth waiting for. The conditions made it almost impossible for good football, but there were some fine individual scores, like this one from Shane Roach. That point helped the home team to a 1-3 to 4 points lead at half-time. After their collapse against Mayo, Roscommon restored their battered pride and they drew level with that free from Donal Shine on 42 minutes. The sides were level once more before Shane Cullen put Wexford in front close to the end with that free, but it was never going to be enough. Roscommon continued to battle away and they got their reward with the equaliser a minute from time from substitute Cavan Higgins, and that forced extra time. It was then Wexford's turn to play catch-up in the first period of extra time as Roscommon edged a point clear, but substitute Eric Bradley brought Wexford level with his second point of the afternoon. Kieran Ling's free shortly afterwards had Wexford ahead, but they couldn't build on that, and Senan Kilbride's free in the second period of extra time brought them level for the last time and means they have to meet again next weekend. It was tight, it was tense, the draw, a fair result though. Wexford won 8, Roscommon 11 points.
Conditions were incredible. I think both teams would be delighted coming away from it not losing. Wasn't really a fantastic game of football at any stage, but it was just sheer battle. Neither team wanted to lose. Simple and straightforward as that. I think all players from both teams deserve a lot of credit for showing so much heart and never giving up.
After last week's moral-boosting win over Fermanagh, it was back to Ockram for Wicklow as they faced another Ulster side in Cavan. The game played in very wet conditions. An early Shonny Johnson point put Cavan ahead. Moments later, Pat McWalter leveled up the match for Wicklow, playing in the unfamiliar white strip. Already the world handball champion, then got on the score sheet for Cavan as Tommy Carr's side met Wicklow score for score early on. The sides traded scores up until the midpoint of the game, but despite playing against the elements in the first half, Wicklow went a point up, courtesy of Leighton Glynn, holding off his marker really well before curling over a neat point. And that 1 point lead became 4 as Wicklow scored what proved to be the only goal of the game. Pat McWalter set up Paul Earls with the crossfield ball, and he duly converted, punching the ball to the net close in. Wicklow led by 4 at the break, 1-6 to 5 points, and stretched that lead to 6 points with Tony Hannon slotting over and Darren Hayden getting Wicklow's second point in a row. Wicklow now wind assisted with their tails up. There were 5 more frees in a row following Hayden's score, with the margin down to 5, but Cavan couldn't close in on Mick O'Dwyer's side, and Shawnee Furlong's point from play and this Tony Hannon point from a free ensured Wicklow's passage into the last 16 for the first time ever. It was joyous scenes at the final whistle, Wicklow advancing to the last 16 on a scoreline 112 to Cavan's 8 points.
The year ending with a 9 seems to be very lucky for me. I won my first All-Ireland when I was in 1959. I won again in 1969. I trained and managed Kerry to win in 79. So maybe this 9 might be handy as well. You never know what could happen.
Imagine what they'll do in 2039. Anyway, those results saw the following teams go into round 3 of the qualifiers, and this is how it turned out earlier this evening. Wicklow at home again to Down. Meath will play Roscommon or Wexford. Kerry at home to Sligo, and Donegal versus Derry. Well, there's plenty of meat in that, Kevin. Wicklow with the home draw again. Will they be able for Down?
Oh yeah, oh absolutely they will. I mean, if you look at it in terms of the defeating Cavan, there were 6-7 points up with 20 minutes to go and close it out to win by. So Wicklow, you could say, won handily. Now, when did you ever think you'd say that? They're at home again. They'll have a big crowd, I imagine, next weekend, and Down won't fancy that trip. I see no reason why they can't get into the final round.
That'll be some achievement. What about the other one? Meath play either Wexford or Roscommon. Good performance from Roscommon there, Darren.
Yeah, good performance. You know, I suppose there was a lot of soul searching done after the Mayo game, and this will bring them on an extra game, which will be in Hyde Park, Roscommon, which is always a huge advantage to them. It's a hard place to come and go and get a win. Meath beat Westmeath last night, which really, I suppose, is nothing great to shout about, because a lot of people seem to be beating Westmeath convincingly this year. But at the same time, they're going to be very, very hard to beat in Park Talton. Wexford, up until this point, have been going through the horrors altogether in 2009, if you compare it to 2008, and they're really struggling to find their form. And they're going to struggle above Roscommon the next day, and it's a toss of kind who's going to win that one. But either way, I think Meath should be capable of beating the winners of the Wexford Roscommon game.
Next one is interesting. Kerry got the home draw, and no doubt a big Sligo crowd will head down to that one.
They will, and Kerry were thrilled, I'd say, to get the home draw, because on the evidence of the Longford match, they're not motoring well, and they've picked up the Donaghy O'Sullivan injury, so that's going to add to their woes. And like, you'd have to say that Sligo are a vastly superior outfit to Longford. So we can expect that they'll be well set up, and Kevin Walsh will have them well revved up. And that could be quite a nice tie now next weekend. But I fancy Kerry will come through, but they're not motoring well. They have difficulties. They have so much to be getting on with now. It's not funny at this stage.
And Sligo have nothing to lose going there.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. The other one is probably the best round. Donegal at home to Derry.
Ordinarily, yeah, you'd probably say so, but Donegal seem to be at a low ebb. I mean, it's a home game, and it probably shows a lack of confidence that they had to take Clare to Ballybuffet as opposed to playing them in Ballyshannon recently, which didn't really sit too well with Clare, and they didn't beat them all that convincingly either. Derry, on the other hand, going from a stage maybe 24, 48 hours ago of brittle confidence, now seem to have a bit of momentum, a bit of confidence. Key players, Fergal Doherty, Paddy Bradley, Owen Bradley, Gerard O'Kane, and all these lads playing well again, and even despite the fact they're playing away, I'd expect them to beat Donegal.
All right. Don't write off Donegal. Anyway, this has been a pretty turbulent week in GAA circles, with the Gaelic Players Association upping the ante against the GAA in their bid for formal recognition. At the same time, the GPA government grants came under threat. Now, we'll chat about this in a moment, but first, Marty recaps the week.
You could say that the GPA and the GAA have been dating each other for 10 years now, but that the marriage just hasn't happened yet. During Nicky Brennan's reign as president of the GAA,